who said that it's an emotional book and that was Fires of Vengeance, who is not being included in the September TBR. Okay, so today I'm going to be doing my September, goodness me, my September TBR. Can you believe we are nearly in September? Where did the year go? I ask you, comment below, where did the year go? Alright, to make things a little bit easier, I'm going to start off showing you my buddy reads for the month of September. 3 books that I will for sure be reading in the month of September, buddy reading, and then 1 book that I'm probably going to end September with buddy reading and then begin October with, but let's get to them anyway. So the first book that I'm going to definitely be buddy reading for the month of September, I have to keep thinking, for the month of September is going to be the first book that I read for the month, and that is this book, A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Okay, so this book is an adult LGBTIQ plus book. It is 720 pages long, which makes it just under being a tome and a half. So 500 pages is a tome, which would make 750 pages a tome and a half. So this is going to be a book that takes me a very long time to read. I am buddy reading this on my Discord, link in the description below. I don't know a lot about this book. This book was recommended to me by Michelle from Books Michelle, who said that it's an emotional book and that was Fires of Vengeance, who is not being included in the September TBR. Not because it did that, it's just not. Maybe it was jealous. Can I get back to what I was doing? Little life. Yeah, apparently this is a really emotional book. It's made a lot of people cry and have all the feels. I'm willing to go in knowing that, but I don't want to know anything else. So if you want to join me, as I said, buddy read Discord link in the description. The next book that I'm going to be buddy reading on my Discord is this book, One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. This is book number 2 in the One of Us is Lying series. I read One of Us is Lying, I think it was last month, but I read it recently anyway, and I really, really enjoyed it. Both that book and this one are YA thrillers, and this book is 375 pages long, which makes it a 3/4 tome. The final book that I'm officially buddy reading on my Discord is my classic book of the month for September, which is Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. So I age range all of my classics as adult books, so this is an adult classic in my eyes. So I've seen the film a couple of times, not many, but a couple, but I haven't read the original canonical work, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this does go. This will be my 4th so far HarperCollins interactive read. It is a HarperCollins interactive edition, so I'm looking forward to that as well. And yeah, we're buddy reading this one on the Discord too. The 4th and final buddy read that I'm going to do, the one that I'm thinking is going to be started towards the end of the month and carry over into October, is this book, Bittersweet by Sarah Ockler. So this is a buddy read that I'm doing as part of my mum and me buddy read, for those of you interested in that buddy read. Yeah, you guys talk to me a lot about it. I appreciate it. So this is what we are going to be reading. For me, I just have so many books that I'm going to be getting through, not only in page count, but also the amount of books I'm reading for September, and also back to back for October as well, and the October books are even longer. So that's why this book is kind of going to be perfectly positioned to be read for me at the end of September and be carried over to the beginning of October. But anyway, this is, I believe it's either adult or YA, I haven't looked it up, I'm sorry, but it's a culinary fiction. Culinary fictions are books that revolve around food and cooking, and that is something that my mum absolutely loves. So anytime we can buddy read a culinary fiction together, that's what we're going to do. Now let's take a look at the rest of the books that I'm going to read for the month of September. So the rest of these books are not necessarily buddy reads, but if you'd like to join me with them as a private buddy read, link in the description to the Discord, let me know. We can still buddy read them if you want. But anyway, at the moment, these are not buddy reads. And the first of those reads is this book, Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. This is an adult LGBTIQ plus book. I'm going into all of these books blind, so no surprise, I can't tell you much about it, but I have heard that this book has received rave reviews. I find it a little bit interesting that Christina Lauren is quoted on the cover, considering that I'm not a massive Christina Lauren fan, but they did well the last time I read them, and you'll see them a little later on in this video. I'm excited to read another LGBTIQ plus book, though I always am going into them because LGBTIQ plus reads mean a lot to me on this channel. It is 427 pages long, which makes this a half tome. The next book that I'm going to be reading is the fourth book in the Shadowhunters series, which is City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. Cassandra Clare is a very polarizing author. There are people out there, or readers out there, who absolutely love her, and there are readers out there who absolutely can't stand her for so many different reasons. I choose to pardon myself from the scandal and just stay away from all that and just focus on the books that she's written. Very much like with J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter, I separate what's going on and just focus on the books themselves. I've read the first 3 books in this series. I gave book 1, oh, this is a test. I think I gave book 1 5 stars, book 2 5 stars, book 3 4 stars, and I'm looking forward to continuing on with this series. I don't have a problem with any of the books so far. I think they are well written, they're really exciting to read, and so far Cassandra Clare always has a... I'm going to kick myself when I rewatch this back because I can't think of the word right now, but I'll just say a well-rounded conclusion. So she finishes off the book and then she has an extra chapter that just basically serves to wrap us up in the most fullest way possible by checking in with all of the remaining characters to make sure that they're okay and see what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. Don't remember the word, but that word, she does that really, really well. This is a YA fantasy. It is 425 pages long, which makes it a half tome. The next book that I'm going to be reading is this book, The Memory Collectors by Kim Neville. I'm extremely excited to finally get to this book. This book featured in my January video of my most anticipated new releases for 2021. I can tell you a little bit about this book because I was looking at premises when I was looking for those books. So this book revolves around a girl who works at a museum with artifacts, and I get the feeling that when she touches these artifacts, she gets to learn more about them. She has an ability that allows her to do that. And I just thought that that would be really intriguing to read. So I can't wait to get into this one. It is an adult fantasy. It is 400 pages long, which makes it a 3/4 tome. The next book that I'm going to be reading is this book, Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. I really have to focus on the cover here because this book was literally delivered to me yesterday, so this is the first time I'm holding it in my hands. I opened up the packaging just moments before I started this video, but I know that it is an LGBTIQ+. It is a YA LGBTIQ+, 400 pages long, which makes it a 3/4 tome. I did know what it was about when I originally looked it up and purchased it, but I've forgotten since, which is a yay, because as you guys know, I like going in blind. And now for some good old-fashioned Mr. Francy reads Redemption. The next book that I'm going to be reading is my third chance for Christina Lauren, as we mentioned them earlier, with this book, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. Alright, you guys, I've had an up and down time with Christina Lauren. Earlier on in the year, I read both Inner Holidays and Roomies. With Inner Holidays, I was extremely disappointed. I gave it 2 stars. I don't quite remember what I gave Roomies. I think it was either like a 3 or a 4. So they're getting one more chance with me, with Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, which is really interesting considering this is an adult romance book. Now, for the sake of differentiation, it is an adult straight romance book. I have the goal not only to read 12 LGBTIQ+ books, but to be more well-rounded with my genres. I have the specific goal to read 6 straight romances by the end of the year. This will be my 5th one, so I'm only one away from achieving that goal. Yay! And this book, I think, is 309 pages long. In any case, it is a half tome. The next book that I'm going to read in the month of September is going to help me to complete a goal for 2021, and that is to read book 8, the final book of Era 2 in the Pretty Little Liars series, which is Wanted by Sarah Shepard. This is a YA mystery series that is divided into, I believe, 4 eras. I had the goal to read the first 8 books before I even knew they were eras, and now I know that they've been split up into 4 of them. So my goal was to read through the first 2 and see where I go from there. This month in August I'm reading book 7, so next month I'm reading book 8, and then I will have achieved that goal, which makes me incredibly excited. This is a YA mystery. It is 259 pages, which makes it a half tome. The next book that I'm going to read is also going to assist me with a goal that I have, and that is to read the first 5 Goosebumps books by the end of 2021. I will be reading book number 3, Monster Blood. So this is a middle grade horror. It's a novella. It's less than 250 pages, so it's a novella, and I'm excited to get into this book. Later on this month in August, I'm going to be reading book number 2. Last year I read a random book in the series. I didn't like it. I gave it 1 star. This year I wanted to see if R.L. Stine would redeem himself. I read book number 1 quite a number of months ago, and it was fantastic. I went from giving that random book last year 1 star to book number 1 5 stars. So I really think that it was just a one-off with that book that I read last year. In case you're wondering which one it was called My Hairiest Adventure. It just really let me down. But Welcome to Dead House, which is book number 1, I loved. I'm reading book number 2 this month, and then next month, this one. So we'll see how we go, but I am excited to get back into another Goosebumps read. And the final book that I'm going to be reading in the month of September is not this book, but it is one of the books in this book. So this book that I'm holding is Arcanum Unbounded by Brandon Sanderson, and this is a compendium of short stories, novellas that Brandon Sanderson wrote. I'm trying to get as completely up to date as I possibly can by the end of 2021 with Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere books. This is my Cosmere bookshelf. Only Cosmere allowed on this bookshelf. And I am really close to being able to achieve that goal. So the book that I'm going to be reading out of this book is Sixth of the Dusk. So I'm going to read that novella in September. I'm going to read another novella in October. In November, I'm going to read Rhythm of War, in case you want to buddy read with me and prepare for that. I'll read that then. And then I believe in December, I'm planning to read the second novella in the Stormlight Archives, which I can't think of what it's called, but I think it starts with D. But that one anyway. And then I'll be completely up to date with all of the books that Brandon Sanderson has published in his Cosmere timeline. And if you aren't aware of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere timeline, this gives you some idea of how much it's taken me to catch up. These books at the back here, the big ones, they are at a minimum 1,000 pages long and at a maximum 1,200 pages long. So his books are very long. In fact, some of his shortest works are 500 pages. So the books themselves are long, and then he has a ton of books within the Cosmere timeline itself. So not an easy goal to achieve, but this is a 2-year running goal, and I should very well be caught up by the time we get to the end of the year, provided Brandon Sanderson does not release Mistborn Era 2 book number 4 by the end of the year. If he does not do that, then I'll be completely caught up by the end of the year. Once again, just to remind you, Sixth of the Dusk is the book that I'm going to be reading for the Sanderson Cosmere timeline goal that I have for the month of September. And just for those quick stats for you, adult fantasy, novella, it's really short, 96 pages long. And now for arguably the toughest version of everyone's favourite game. I always say it's a tough version, but this one is not going to be easy at all. But here we go, everyone's favourite game called Up, 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 Up. These are the books that I plan on reading in the month of September. What books do you plan to read in the month of September? Let me know in the comments section below. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it, letting you guys go with peace, blessings, and so much love. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you again soon. Mwah! Thank you so much for watching, and happy reading!